Hey y'all, it's Kelly from Dixie Darlins Tumblers here, and today I've got one of those cups that you might think is really complicated, and there's a lot of elements that go into it, and there are quite a few elements, but it's super easy and it's super quick. So it has no glitter in it, but it looks still shimmery and shiny, and I just fell in love with it, so I wanted to bring it to you guys. So I'm actually going to take a cup and wrap it with a vinyl that's a turquoise with kind of a gold marble look in it. And then I'm going to take these foils that I'm obsessed with. I mean, basically you just take a clear adhesive, spray them on there, put the foils on there, and it adds so much dimension to the cup. And then I'm going to take one of these new stickers from the Vinyl Cottage. So she's got these stickers now that are transparent with a white background, so you can actually put them on a dark base. So I'm going to use one of those, and then I decided I wanted to throw in some metallic leaves on this one. So this is kind of a Thanksgiving theme. I think you can actually use this year-round. I mean, it says One Thankful Mama, so for me, I would probably use that year-round. But I decided I wanted to add some little leaves on it, so I'm going to throw those in there. But it was so easy and so quick, y'all. So I wanted to make sure that I got it out to you guys, especially if you're looking for gifts and you're kind of stuck in between that. You know, it's past Halloween almost making cups, and then not quite to Christmas yet. So I thought this was a fun little in-between design. So I hope that you guys like it. Please join my Dixie Darlins Tumblers Facebook group, y'all. I love to interact with y'all. I love to see your creations. I love to hear your feedback. So join me over there at Dixie Darlins Tumblers. And then please hit the little bell here so you don't miss my future tutorials. I will list all the products that I used today in the description box below, as well as some discount codes. So y'all make sure to check those out in the description box down below. Everything that I use. And I hope that you guys enjoy it, and thank y'all so much for watching. So today I'm using the 17-ounce all-in-one tumbler from Craft Haven, and I really like this tumbler because there is no taper. It's narrow, so it fits in every cup holder, and it has this great leak-proof lid that I really like on it. So that's what I'm using today. And I'm basically just trimming my vinyl down here where I don't have an overlap, a lot of overlap on the top or the bottom, and just making sure that my line is going to line up straight. I'm going to add some things over this so it's not exactly, you know, it doesn't have to be exactly perfect, but I don't want it just as square as I can get it. And then I'm just going to trim off a little piece off the end here and place that on there, and then kind of just double check myself that it's going to wrap around the cup and cover the cup. And then I'm just going to go ahead and peel the backing off there, and then allow the pressure of me pushing the vinyl onto the cup to work the backing off at the same time. And I'm just going to work my way around here. You guys have seen me do this probably. I just hold it with one hand and kind of run my finger down with the other end, just making sure there's no bubbles as I'm going around. I do it fairly slow. And then I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to place my painter's tape here. You guys know that I'm not a good line cutter. I do not cut very straight lines, so I lay my tape down here so I have something to run my little craft knife up against instead of just trying to kind of eyeball it, or, you know, I've seen a lot of people lay something down next to it and cut beside it. This is just the easiest way that I've found that works for me to do it. And then I just flip my cup back over, and I'm going to continue to press the vinyl around until I get over that tape. And then once I get to that tape, I'm going to take my craft knife and I'm going to run my finger down the seam right there where the tape is, so I can clearly see under the light where that piece of tape is. And so it's going to give me just a little bit of overlap. So that way I ensure that there's no part of the cup showing through when I'm doing it this way. So it just gives you, I mean, like a millimeter of overlap. So it's just barely a little overlap there, but I've just found if I just try to cut it without that it ends up, for one reason or another, part of the cup showing through. So I've just learned to create myself a little overlap. And I'm going to go in some foils after this. So the seam here is not really going to bother me because I'm trying to cover it up. I'm going to cover that area up anyway. Where it kind of looks distressed, I'm going to go in with some foils to just continue the distressing and add a little bit of color in there. So it's really not that big of a deal if the seam, you know, shows up pretty good here. And then I'm just pulling that tight around the top. I'm taking my craft knife and I'm just trimming off the excess on the top. And then I'm going to go around on the bottom and pull that vinyl pretty tight as I can around the bottom. This has a little kind of lip on the bottom, so this is one of those cups that you really have to make sure that you get it pulled around where there's no creases on that edge right there, because if you do, you will never get this cup straight. I've learned this the hard way, so I put forth a little bit of effort, more effort in the beginning to make sure that that vinyl lays really smooth against that little lip around the edge. because this cup is really straight. It does not have a rounded going around from the side to the bottom, so you really want to make sure that that vinyl lays really smooth. Then I just continue on around. You can kind of see I'm pulling around and I'm kind of trying to run it down around the edge all at the same time before I trim that excess off. And then once I get it pulled all the way around the cup, I'm just going to take my craft knife and I'm just going to run it right along that edge right there. It comes off pretty easy, and then I'm just going to press that down. I use my fingernail. You can use a credit card or whatever tool you like using. I just kind of prefer to use my fingernail. It seems like I can get it around the edge more level and where there's no creases. And so then after I got my vinyl on, I'm going to go in with just a little quick coat of, not quick coat, I'm going to go in with a speedy layer of Counterculture's medium viscosity artist resin. I'm only going to use about 15 milliliters here. I just want a very thin coat because I am going to go apply foils next, and I didn't want them to be directly on the vinyl in case I decided that I wanted to, you know, that I didn't like areas that they were on. I just would rather there be a layer of epoxy. So I do place the layer of epoxy. I let that dry for about 8 hours. And then I'm going in with these foils that are the Abigail Flowers. They're an adhesive release foil from Southern Belle Glitter. I have fallen in love with these foils and they're very easy. You can basically take any kind of spray adhesive, and I just use one that I got from Hobby Lobby and spray it on the cup. It's actually, the one I have is for stencils, but pretty much any work. I will link a couple in the description box below for y'all. There's some that you can brush on. I prefer the spray on adhesive for whatever reason, just because I like it to be distressed. So I like there to be some kind of texture in it. So I feel like I just get really good, I get the effect that I'm going for by using the spray. So, and then on this cup, I really want to use more of the yellow versus kind of the red color. So I did kind of cut that out of the foil. So you basically just cut it out, you take the spray, you just spray the adhesive a little bit on the foil and then a little bit on the cup. And then you do have to kind of let it dry for, I would say, like 30 seconds. And then the stickier it gets, the better it's going to do. So I kind of put it on there and pull it off, and then put it on there and pull it off, because I don't want the effect. You can lay the whole sheet down and just get the whole sheet to come off on there. I like there to be the distressed look. So you can see I'm just kind of doing just like little bursts of the spray, and then I'm just doing like, you know, just little areas. I don't want the whole sheet. I just want it to have that distressed look. So basically that's all you have to do. And you just work your way around the cup, and you can use this foil until basically you can see that like all the color's off of it. So you can just continue to apply it over and over until basically it's just clear and there's nothing left on it. So because I do like that distressed look, you know, you can see I pick it up and put it back down and pick it up and put it back down. And I don't want a big clump of it. I like the areas to look the most distressed. So that's kind of my goal. I'm just going to cover up the seam here and kind of do a random pattern. I'm just going to speed this up for the purposes of, you know, you guys basically can, you know, you're just spraying and putting the foil on there. And then I'm going to take one of these stickers from the Vinyl Cottage, and that's what I'm going to be using as my decal. So you can kind of see, I'm kind of looking at my placement here. I don't want the foils to go behind it. You can see through it, and I do want it to blend in, but I would rather my decal kind of go over you know, the solid base, so it's not too distracting, more so than it still show up, but I don't want it to be too distracting, so I kind of work my way around that. And I'm just going to kind of basically keep working my way around the cup until I kind of get a pattern that's random. Y'all know my favorite word is like strategically random, so it is random, but in my mind it's strategic. So I'm just going to work my way around there, and I'm not going to seal this. So some people may want to seal theirs. I have not ever sealed my foils, and they tend to do fine under epoxy. I'm just kind of here taking my decal, I'm laying it back on here just to make sure that I'm leaving enough area where it's not distracting, and I'm just going to keep working my way around. And then after you've applied your foils, you can go right into your layer of epoxy. Basically just after, I gave it probably like, you know, 10 or 15 minutes just so where my spray adhesive was dry. I mean, I don't think that would have been an issue anyway, because it was basically dry by the time you get your foils applied. But just to give that any adhesive that was kind of still left on the cup, any residue, I just gave it a little bit of time to dry. But then I just I'm just going to go right into my next layer of epoxy. And I'm going to be using Counterculture's medium viscosity artist resin again. I've mixed up about 30 milliliters. This cup really doesn't take that, especially because there's no glitter on it. It basically is just a pretty smooth surface here. So I only end up using about 20 milliliters, especially just because the bottom of this cup is pretty square. It's not a rounded bottom. I just really would rather go with a lighter coat to make sure there's no pooling at the top or the bottom. Even if the cup's level, just these bottoms I try to be sensitive to on this cup. So I'm just going to apply this. I'm going to use my torch to pop any bubbles, and then I'm going to let this coat dry for about another 6 to 8 hours before because I'm going to go in and add my decal next. Now after my epoxy is dry, I'm going to go in with this One Thankful Mama sticker. It is a transparent sticker from the Vinyl Cottage, except you can see that it's printed on white first. So even though it's transparent, the back is white, so it will show up on a darker color base. So I really could have put this on any color base. I really didn't plan for this to match exactly, but it just happened to match this vinyl that I had wrapped the cup in pretty perfectly, where if you didn't know, you might have thought that that was just kind of showing through. But it actually was printed on the decal. So I will link those in the description box below. She just launched those, and I think there's 13 designs available on the website to purchase right now, along with this one. Then I wasn't exactly sure where I was going to go with this cup. I thought maybe I would just leave it like it was, but it still is kind of missing something at this point. But I did go ahead and add in another layer of epoxy, and I'm just going to use about 20 milliliters of medium viscosity artist resin here. And then I kind of decided it was still missing something, so I'm going to go back and add the leaves and another coat. But I am using here again about 20 milliliters of epoxy, and using my torch to pop any bubbles, and then I'm going to let that dry for about 6 to 8 hours before I'm going to go in and add my my brushed copper and gold and Spectrum black, I think it's a Spectrum Gunmetal vinyls, but I will link all those in the description box below for you guys as well, all the vinyl colors, as well as some discount codes that I've got for y'all. And this is a fall leaf bundle that I bought on Etsy. I'll link it as well for y'all. I just decided that I didn't want all the leaves the same color. I thought I would go in there and kind of print off every leaf in different colors. Just because I like to place them by hand, and I wasn't sure exactly how I wanted them, and I kind of want to mix up the colors. So that's basically, I'm using this Spectrum Chrome Gunmetal, and then the brushed copper, and then the brushed gold. I believe that's what they're called, but I do have them linked for y'all below. They're all from the Vinyl Cottage as well, the chrome colors. So then after I've got those placed, I'm just going to go in with my final layer of epoxy here. I am using Counterculture's medium viscosity artist resin again, and same, I'm applying about 20 milliliters here, and I'm going to go in with my torch to pop any bubbles, and then we're going to have our final design. So y'all, this was such a quick, fun little design that really had I thought it had some definition and some depth to it, but it was a really quick cup. If you needed something quick to do for a gift or getting through the holiday season, you could just basically do vinyl, foils, decal, and it would go really quick. So I hope that y'all enjoyed it. Please share your creations with me in the Dixie Darlins Tumblers Facebook group. Check out the description box below. I do have some discount codes listed for y'all. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, all that fun, crazy stuff, so you won't miss my future tutorials. Thank y'all so much for watching, and I'll see y'all again soon.